Hey, hey, hey. Today I had the privilege of interviewing the Money Maven, and she talked about her entrepreneurial journey, which started when she was 19, and how she not only had a six-figure side hustle, but she did that while she had a six-figure corporate job, and how she scaled her six-figure side hustle to seven figures, working just a few months out of the year. So if you want a six-figure side hustle that you can easily scale to seven figures, working 4 months out of the year, I suggest you stay tuned for this episode and learn this Money Maven sauce. Why, hello, Miss Money Maven. How are you?
Hello, me. Doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for dropping in. I know you have so much knowledge and wisdom on, so many topics around money and finance. So, without any further wait, let's jump in. So how did you get started? What would you say your entrepreneurship origin story is?
My entrepreneurship origin story, super interesting. So, like, when I was a kid, all my friends from like elementary school remember me from just having money all the time. And it was really because my dad owned a laundromat and he used to give me quarters all the time. Or, like, I would just take the quarters. You got a bunch of quarters. He never knew they were missing. But my mom and dad were separated. They were, my mom was a single parent. But so my dad would then spoil me with whatever I wanted. And from then I always felt like money was just abundant. Money was always available to me. I never, I grew up in the projects of Trenton, New Jersey. So it's the hood. And I just didn't feel that way growing up. I always felt like money was abundant because every time I looked around, my mom was a hustler. My dad was a hustler. He used to sell clothes, t-shirts, all kind of stuff. My mom, funny enough, she actually could have started Build-A-Bear. So she used to sell these little teddy bears in baskets with like little gifts and stuff. So for Mother's Day, Father's Day, all the holidays and stuff, she would make these cute little bears. So the entrepreneurial spirit just came from being around my parents. My first venture into entrepreneurship wasn't too far after that. So at church, we had did this fundraiser and we were selling katydids. You know what katydids are?
No.
You from up north, you don't know what katydids are? Oh my gosh.
Sure, but what is it?
So katydids are like they're like chocolates, like turtles. Little chocolate turtles. We used to sell them for the church, fundraiser or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I made all this money selling these candy for this church. I wonder if I could do this for myself. So I was probably in like the third grade and I called the number on the back of the candy because it said, if you want to sell or fundraise with us, call this number. I was 8 years old, mind you, living in the projects of West Trenton. And I called and the lady was like, well, how old are you? And I lied. And then she was like, well, where's your mom? And I said, well, she's just around the corner. My mom was really at work, right? Like I said, she was a single parent. She had 4 kids at the time. So she was working a lot. And do you know this woman sent the police to my house? Sent the police to my house. So the police came knocking on my door. And I was just like, okay, I need to pause a little bit. Mind you, this is just the third grade. But went the regular route of school. Like I said, I have young parents. I'm the oldest of 8 siblings, and went the regular route of going to college. Always been told by my parents. First of all, they were 16 when they had me, so they just wanted me to go graduate high school, go to college, and get a job. So that's what I did. I went to Rutgers, but when I was 19, I actually started working at Merrill Lynch. That was my first like real job. I worked at the bank before that. Then I started working at Merrill Lynch in investment consulting. And that's really where my professional career even started. So I'm 19, making 20 something dollars an hour. And, you know, it was great to start off with. But of course, like 2 years in, I'm looking around at my coworkers like, well, what do I see myself in them? You know, they're married with kids and we're working the same job. And I'm just like, I can't imagine how I could do this forever. Like how I could like pay bills with this. At the time I was living with my mom, and my manager at that time, you know, left a lasting statement on me. He said, never live paycheck to paycheck. And I promised him that I wouldn't. So, you know, I was working in investment consulting. He was a white guy. And, you know, he just loved me because I was a young black kid named Shaniqua, worked super hard, super smart, you know, so he just took a liking to me and, you know, tried to help me out on my journey. And so that's when I started investing was when I was 19. So I started investing in the stock market. But because, you know, we're just top performers typically in the environment, my job was super easy. So I was always looking for a side hustle. Like, even though I was making good money as a 19, 20-year-old, I was like, okay, well, what can I do? You know, part-time. I was also in college. I was also raising my cousin. I had custody of my 2-year-old cousin at the time. So, you know, I needed to do something that wasn't too labor intensive, where I could be home and at work or at school and still get it done. And I decided to start a tax business. I chose taxes because it was financial, right? I knew that I liked finance. And because when I went to do my taxes, my first year I went to do my taxes, I went just right across the street. I had my own apartment at the time to H&R Block just because I didn't, you know, what else was I going to do? Like, we didn't have a format of how you go and do taxes. I didn't have an accountant to go and work with. I didn't have a friend to call. So across the street from my apartment, I walked across and went to H&R Block, and I was just a student. I had, you know, my little job at Merrill, but they charged me like $600-700 to do my taxes. And I'm like, all these people in here paying $600-700.
Right.
You know, I'm like, why am I paying $30,000 to go to college and paying these people $600-700 to do my taxes? So that literally was the light bulb for me. So I started my tax business, and you know what people don't know is that it's super easy to start a tax business. Like, I didn't have a degree at the time, probably was under 21. I was definitely under 21 when I started. Didn't have a degree, didn't have, you know, really anything. You don't even need a business license to start preparing taxes, which is crazy.
Yeah, because
you don't.
That you have to be an accountant to start a tax business. That's even what
That's what most people think. That's what most people think. People think you have to be an accountant to start a tax business. I tell you, I was literally 19 or 20 years old when I started. So I'm 35. I'm 15 years in where I've been doing taxes, but I literally one day just decided to start. And the funny thing is, I had talked to my aunt. She was moving back from Houston, moving back to Jersey. And she was like, well, I'm going to move back to Jersey. She had a tax office back in Houston. And I'm going to start a tax office here. And you can come, you know, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll just come and work with you to learn for my first year. And so she had a store location, helped her out that year. And then, you know, ate the meat and spit out the bones. That's what my grandma called it. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. So I took what I liked from her business model and then, you know, flipped it for me. So from the jump, I was a virtual tax business. It was really mobile. So I would pull up on people at their house, at their job. You know, we'd meet somewhere maybe. But, you know, my first year, I maybe only had like 30 clients. But for me, being 19, 20 years old, you can charge $500 or more to do taxes. You know, $500 times 30, how much is that? 15,000?
Yeah.
So it's a quick extra 15,000 at 19, 20 years old. And that was from January to March. And right. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. You know what I'm saying? I had extra money to blow. I was living life, traveling, spending money, doing all the things that I wanted to do. But I'm like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I was still able to go home. And really, had a virtual business. So like, I had a laptop and internet. So if I pulled up on somebody at a restaurant, I'm pulling my phone out, right? You got your phone, you got your Wi-Fi on your phone. I got my internet, and I was literally doing people's taxes on my laptop. And so that's really where I got my start. And, I don't know why in the hell people trusted me at 19 years old to do their taxes. But that's where I got my start. I literally just started. Like I went, I got registered with the IRS, got my P10, and made my first 15,000, and I was hooked.
That's really amazing. So what the P10? Because you said you don't need a degree, but what would someone need to start? Now mobile and virtual is all the rage. We all want to work virtually. We all want to be free, and not tied to a location. So that you're definitely shutting things on me, because if you asked me right now, I would have said you have to be an accountant to do people's taxes. So what do you need? You
Yeah, so it's really, that's a huge myth, and a lot of people think that you have to be an accountant, right? I mean, you would just naturally think that, of course.
Right.
And I don't know. I guess I didn't have, for me, you got to tell me no. And even after you tell me no, your boss got to tell me no. You know what I'm saying? I'm just that kind of person. Like, you're not just going to tell me whatever you want to tell me. Somebody else might have to tell me, and then the law might have to tell me, or something going to have to physically stop me. So I've just always been that kind of, I've been always been bullish like that. And yeah, no, you literally at that time, like I said, I didn't even have to have an EIN number if I didn't want to, right? I could have operated, but I knew all about EINs. I had my first business when I was like 17 or 18. I used to throw parties, and we were party promoters, and it was a whole lot of ratchetness going on. So we got our LLC so that we could separate ourselves from any kind of fights or whatever kind of liability came from these parties. So I already knew about that. So I did have my EIN established. But you go to the IRS and get a P10. Back then, it might have costed like $30. Some years I've seen it where it was free. So like you can literally register for your P10 through the IRS.gov, and maybe for free, maybe for anywhere from free to $40 for the year, and do taxes. You do need professional tax software and clients. That's really all you need to get to really start a tax business. Now, of course, like I said, the first year, I think I had 35 clients, and every year since then, it's almost double, if not double. So the way that I was able to grow my business was really through referrals. Back when I was 19, 20 years old, I don't know when this was, but maybe like 08, something like that. Internet marketing just wasn't something that Black young people were into. Right. So these kids these days, they all on the TikTok, they're all on Instagram, and they know how to work this marketing thing, YouTube marketing, all of that. That really wasn't, a big thing when we were younger. So my business really just grew by word of mouth. And to be honest, that's really all I wanted. Like, I just really wanted my little business where I could work January to March, April time, do my taxes, and travel the world the rest of the year, right? Because it reminds you, I had school, I had home responsibilities and all that. So, it was cool to make an extra $30,000, $50,000 in the first quarter of every year. I had a whole lot of play money to go around. So, when I was a solo practitioner, it was great, right? Now, let's just talk about where I was when I was like 10 years in. It was like, okay, I'm 10 years in, I have my degree, and I want to advance in my career. And at the time, like I said, when I first started, I was probably only making $20-something at Merrill. But, I'm like, all right, I got my degree now. When these six figures coming? So, the six figures came through a mixture of my business and job. But, you hear about getting your degrees and you think it's all green after that. So I got my degree, and I'm thinking like, okay, well, now I'm about to get me a new job. As soon as I got my degree, girl, the market crash hit.
Right.
Got my degree in 2010. It was the worst job market in 100 years. So just really had to be patient and had to focus on growing my business. So I did that, word of mouth. And really, most of my clients at that time were people that knew, like, and trusted me. So they were either my colleagues, they were people that, so I used to model at the time. So people that I modeled with, right? So what I did was I figured out a way to make my friends and my sphere of influence and my customer. And because I was a model, I was like, okay, well, let me show y'all how, you can get a nice tax refund, right? Like you paying $8,000 a year on your salary. Let me show you how you can get that $8,000 back by writing off these things that we're doing for modeling. And then I had friends that were in the music industry and all these things. So I built my business off of referrals and through educating my peers about, what was available to them. So like, it was super seamless, easy. And I loved it because it was part-time.
Right. That's really an amazing story. I also graduated in 2010 and was forced into entrepreneurship because it's like you're told spend all this money, get a degree, and that's your fast track to the easy life. And then you get the degree and they're like, oh, but not this year. This year we're not hiring. And it's like, well,
sorry, not today.
Right, what am I? So we're the kind of a generation that was forced into entrepreneurship. So I think that's very, very interesting how you had so many things going on all at the same time. Modeling, working a regular job.
Well, it just came, like those things kind of came into place because I got bored, like I said, the tax business was 3-4 months out of the year. So modeling was like a creative outlet for me. And, I just feel like it's just something about overachievers, right? Us high, we're high performing. We push ourselves to do more. So, I've just always been like that. And, I was doing a lot. As we know, it's true for my life today as well.
Yeah, but where were you really getting? I know you said your aunt was kind of your mentor, but did you get any other knowledge? Like, how did you know all this stuff? How did you know how to get people tax refunds? And how were you learning those types of things? Because a lot of
so the crazy thing is, I went to my aunt about it and, she was like, yeah, come on, let's do it. But her market were just W-2 families, right? The people that are walking by on the street, right? People like me when I was a student and I just had my W-2. That was just her natural market. I just found and fell into my market because that's what I was pursuing. So, I was pursuing a model, right? I became a fashion designer. So I went into this art space and just found, it was just a natural market for me almost. So I think a lot of times, especially nowadays, we have so much access to everybody that we forget to niche down and to pick a market. You know what I'm saying? They say that the riches are in the niches because it's so easy to attract the right customer when you're speaking their language. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm talking to models and I'm like, did you know that you can deduct travel? You can deduct hair, you can deduct supplies, you can deduct your weight loss stuff. Like, so I'm speaking their language because I live their life.
Right.
And I think that entrepreneurs today get really confused with their marketing and their message, myself included, because my mind be all over the place. But when you're speaking to a broad audience, you're speaking to no one, right? Yeah. So sometimes you got to niche down. And that was just a natural way of ascension for my business where I started with the artists and the entertainment industry. So I was just speaking directly to them. And then once you do good business to, one person, they send you to 3 other people. And that's just kind of how it multiplied. But at that time, there weren't mentors. Right. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have any mentor in this business for a long time. Actually, I don't even know when I got my first mentor in the tax space, but I didn't even know that was a thing until like the last 5 years. Right. We're in 2022. So I used to always go to like trade shows and, conferences and stuff like that. But I didn't know that there were any specific for my industry, to be honest. I just didn't know. I was just young, but I used to just go to financial conferences because I always knew I wanted to do more in finance. And eventually I did meet a mentor in that space. So my first mentor, like I said, I probably worked with about 5 years ago. And that's when I paid my first 5 figures. So his mentorship was about $40,000 for the year. Right. But the program was called 7-Figure Firm. So he helps you turn your tax business into a 7-figure firm. And I'll be honest, when I first started, like I said, it was just me. I did all the taxes. I took all the phone calls. I did the marketing. Really, I didn't have to do a whole lot of marketing. I figured out how to make my customers refer me more people. But I did the operations. I did everything, right? But I got to a point where it's like, how do you grow, right? I'm either going to have to have more clients, or I'm going to have to increase my fees. So first off, initially it was like, okay, let's get more clients. And then I got to the point where I was making 6 figures in my career, making 6 figures with my side tax business, but I was super burnt out. I really started to despise the business. I didn't want to talk to people that used to be my friends or colleagues. Now they're clients calling me about their tax refunds. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hate this, right? So I got to that point, but then I found my mentor. My mentor helped me streamline my business, bring in operations, taught me how to hire, taught me how to, have proper compliance in my business. So mentorship, girl, like I said, that was the first time that I had paid, that much money to anything other than college. But the goal is to help you have a 7-figure business. So for me, it was like, okay, this is a no-brainer.
And that's funny because nobody bats an eye if you talk about spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college, and they're never talking about 7 figures. There's no course in college that's saying, here's how you make 6 figures a year, or this is how you scale to this, or it's for you to get it. You're paying $100,000 to maybe make 50. But then
right. And the thing is there isn't even a course on how you get a job. If you want to go learn how to interview and get your resume done, you got to seek that information out, And I because I was working at Merrill Lynch already, I really wasn't trying to get a job through school. A lot of my classmates, so I went to Rutgers and I got my degree in finance. And a lot of my classmates at the time, they were really applauding me for having my own tax business and for working at Merrill Lynch. So it's like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm living a dream, right? I want to work in finance. I'm working in finance on Wall Street. And I thought that I was living the dream. But like I said, I eventually just got to the point where I was just super burnt out, and the money just wasn't worth the amount of my life I had to give up for it. So I had to find a way to really grow at a pace that was not comfortable for me, but that was ideal. I'm at a point now in my life, I'm 35, and I would say it started about 5 years ago when I was 30, right? I'm a mom, wife, so I just have other obligations and, things that are more important to me now. So now anything that I do has to fit my lifestyle first. Anything that I start to do, I think about, can this fit into my lifestyle, right? That's really important to me right now where I'm at in life.
You said a few things that I want to unpack. First of all, I do want to go back to the mentorship, just because, when a lot of us first started our businesses, there weren't all these mentors and coaching programs. And now a lot of people are tending to say oh, that's a scam. Oh, you should do it for free. Or, oh, if you were doing so well. Right, I know.
Girl, you want to talk about free? Let me tell you how people treated me when I was looking for a free mentor, right? Well, first of all, I grew up in Delta Gyms. I grew up doing community service in my organizations as a teen, right? So I learned through that, and having adults kind of mentor us, right? They were just the leaders of let's just say if it was Girl Scouts or something, or I was in Delta Gyms, I was this debutante, right? So I learned a lot from those programs because the adults there would say things like, well, if you want a mentor, what are you going to bring, right? You can't just come and ask, right? The best way to get a mentor is to go and offer how you can help them, right? So if you have a mentor and you see some way that they're lacking, and this is the same thing I did in my jobs as well. If I see an area where you're lacking, I'm going to offer some level of support where we can tighten up a little bit so that you can do a little better. Now, corporate America loves that. They take well to that. Black people, they look at that like you trying to be grown, you young, you don't know what you're talking about. So I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not speaking of anyone in particular in my life that has, has done that to me, but it has happened time after time again where they're like, girl, you young, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fine. Well, I'm going to go and find somebody else that appreciates my input. And now, to be quite honest, I've surpassed a lot of the people when I was younger and started my business. I surpassed them in knowledge. I surpassed them in marketing, in my business size, in my future growth, right? I just have more opportunity because I'm younger. But I think you had asked me, how did I learn? Like literally most businesses, you learn while you're on the job. It's just like working, it's on the job training. So when it comes to taxes, the way that you learn is by having customers that have certain issues, right? Now it's my job to go dig into the IRS publications, talk to my accounting friends, and learn, right? So those difficult situations and clients that I had, I loved them because it gave me the opportunity to dig into the space and learn. And then I'm just a nerd. So I just, what I'm saying? And once I started to figure out that there were loopholes and stuff, I'm like, ooh, what else? What else can I do? What else? What else? What's next?
Yeah, that's so funny because it kind of mirrors my own path because I deal in homeowners claims, but yeah, there's a lot of loopholes, and just like you said, your loopholes are found in the IRS tax code. Mine are found in the actual insurance policy. So I'm always trying to get my hands on people's insurance policies.
Listen,
I could delve.
People say that things are black and white, but the great thing about black and white is that when they mix, there's gray in between, right? So the gray is where you get these IRS loopholes and where you get to poke holes in someone's policy and find opportunity, right? The gray is where you find opportunity, literally. And how that works in the tax space is you look at old tax cases, right? So like cases that have been in front of a court, and they say, well, no, you cannot claim this. You should not have done this. This is not written in the black and white. And then the other side proves, okay, well, it's not written in black and white, but it's not excluded, right? And then if the court side with you, this is now a legal loophole that has been, it's been through the legal system that says this, if done in this way, will stand as a legal tax loophole. So, some of that stuff you gotta dig. You know what I'm saying? You have to dig to learn. Because honestly, even once I got my mentor in the tax space, he teaches you some tax planning stuff, but his mentorship was really more about the business. We go to school, we get these degrees, we get these licenses and stuff, and now you can go out and sell. Now you can go and be a tax person,
right? But
you don't know how to be a business owner. You don't know how to get clients. You don't know how to create operations. You don't know how, so his whole program was more so about marketing and business operations than actual taxes, for real.
And that will thank you is not having operations. And I know, I'm very, very confident at what I do, but when I went off on my own and it's like, oh wait, now you got I was constantly forgetting to pay myself. I was like, so many things could slip through the cracks if you don't have proper operations. So even just getting that as a mentorship.
Ooh, with insurance? Oh yeah, I'm sure with insurance. There's so much back and forth.
Yeah, I always take care of my clients, but I would find oh wait, why don't I have money? Because all the money is sitting in the payroll account. I forgot to pay myself. So because it's just knowing a trade is not knowing how to run a business. That's its own
absolutely
thing. And then if you don't know how to run a business, it's very difficult to scale a business because it's one thing when you're running everything on your head, but when you're bringing people in and they're like, well, what do I do? And you're getting frustrated because it's like, well, why don't you know what to do? It's because you don't have your operations, you don't have your standard operating procedures. So even just getting a mentor,
yes,
where they're teaching you that stuff.
Yeah.
It's very, very valuable.
Yes, girl. Yeah, but that's literally also why I started to mentor, right? Because what I found was, I had invested heavily into myself as a mentor, but I also found that a lot of, tax professionals, girl, even some CPAs, right? Like they just don't know, right? Even CPAs, right? So they've gotten their CPA, and if a client asks me, "Are you a CPA?" No, I'm not a CPA, but I have one on my team. I hire them, because I don't need to be a CPA to know tax law. You can learn tax law because it's all public information out there, right? But it's all about who is more studious, right? So tax law was the one thing, and then marketing and stuff like that, right? So a lot of CPAs are trained to go and work corporate finance, right? They're not trained to be out here working with entrepreneurs. They're not trained to run your books. All the stuff that comes with being a CPA is skills that you learn after the fact. So I found myself mentoring tax professionals, EAs, CPAs on all the different things that I was learning when it came to operations and marketing. So I do have a course that, people can take if they want to learn how to become a tax professional. It goes through operations, it goes through marketing, branding, like it goes through all of the business stuff that you need. Plus, the part where you get your trade and can actually legally do taxes with the IRS. But my main focus is, like I said, what I know now as a 15-year, I guess you can call it 15-year entrepreneur. I don't count that as my whole time as being an entrepreneur because I didn't leave corporate until about 30. So I had, like I said, I had my 6-figure job and I had my 6-figure side hustle. But why leave my 6-figure job? When I can work. But I just got to the point where, like I said, it was just so stressful. I had a couple hundred clients a year, didn't have much help. I had people I would pay on 1099 contractors to come and help me during tax season. But just wasn't able to continuously provide the level of service that I wanted to my clients. So I'm like, I made a tough decision to leave my job, right? Because it's like on the job, I'm not going to make any more money. I'm stuck at 6 figures. What's the next level? Maybe 200,000, maybe 250,000. But do I see that for myself? Do I see a lot of people like me in that position? It just wasn't going to happen, right? So I bet on myself, left corporate, and, totally just focused on my business. And what I learned very quickly is that I don't want to have to do work to make money. So I put my systems in place. I put the people in place so that I can now, and mind you, I've been doing taxes for 15 years. I don't want to do taxes anymore. If you've been doing something for 15 years, you ain't really going to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to want to be on to the next, right? That's evolution. That's growth. So today I help high achieving professionals and entrepreneurs become investors. So I've learned that, instead of me working so hard, I want to have my money working hard for me. So, through those years of me having my side hustle and my corporate career, I was able to leave my job with over 6 figures in the bank. So that gave me a really nice cushion to be able to not stress about making money. And, just have time to think. I think that so many entrepreneurs leave their corporate job too soon where they can't even be creative and market properly. They can't step back and develop SOPs, right? They don't even have the time or capacity to do that stuff.
Yeah. I really like that lesson because there is a popular, whatever going around that you should burn your boat really before you even get to any destination. Like, don't burn your boat while you're out to sea because then you're just floating around.
Don't burn your boat while you're out to sea. Don't burn your boat while you're on the island. Because let me tell you something. You're going to see a bigger island over there. There's going to be a bigger island over there. And you're going to be like, well, how do I get there? That island looks good. Right. What's going to happen when these resources on this island dries up and you done burnt the boat? You stuck.
Absolutely.
So I have found great pleasure in
bad thing.
Right. I found really great pleasure in pivoting a little bit and becoming an investor. So now, as I said, I've been investing since I was 19 in the stock market. So now I help people invest in the stock market, real estate, and businesses. So literally my first year out of corporate, I had invested in a couple businesses. I invested in an Allstate insurance agency. I think I told you, we recently sold that agency. So I was able to make some money, throughout the time and then get my initial investment back when we sold the business. So that was cool. But, I'm just at the point now where I need my money to work harder than I do.
I love that. I love that.
Quality of life is important.
It is. It is. And making a lot of money but having no time is its own like bondage, where it's like you got all this, you can see it, but you can't do anything with it, or other people are getting to enjoy it because they have time freedom. But you're some of us become shackled to our business. So I really love that you have a mentorship that teaches people's systems, because it is not intuitive. And that's, I struggled where it's like, oh, I'm making money, but then you're actually capping yourself because you only have so much time, you only have so much capacity, and then you're going to get to the point where you hate your phone.
Absolutely. In my business, like I said, I literally came to a crossroads, right? I'm like, okay, if I make $100,000, $200,000, how do I make $300,000? How do I make $500,000? And it was like, okay, well, you got to double your clients. All right. Well, I double my clients. So now I got to spend money on marketing, got to hire more of a team, get the systems in place, have levels of overriding and compliance, or I can charge more money. Right? Keep my same clients and charge more money. I decided on the latter, right? So I decided in my tax business that I wanted to provide more value to my clients, and helping them do things like tax planning, wealth management, like I said, investing, actually books, right? Helping you do your actual books. And that was my decision. My decision was, I went through a process of taking my 200 plus clients and rinsing them, right? And what that means is that I literally start doubling my price. I told you at one point, my clientele was doubling every year. In the last 5 years, I've been doubling my price. So what y'all think that was doing? What do you think that was doing to my client base? It was shrinking my client base. But here's the thing. If you have 100 customers paying you $100, then you make what? $10,000. If you have 100 customers paying you $1,000, then you have $100,000. So that concept made a whole lot more sense to me than to go out and find more customers.
Exactly. And then I like how you said that you started kind of offering other services. So you were going vertical and horizontal. And, a big lesson.
Yeah.
We're always reminded yesterday's price is not today's price. So the more I know, the better I get. The more streamlined I get, the more I'm going to charge, because I'm not the same person when I'm charging $500 to do tax returns in my car. I don't know the same things. I know more.
Exactly. I saw a post going around years ago that said, what takes me 5 minutes to do took me 15 years to learn. Exactly. The price is the price.
Right. And that's what you're looking for, because I don't know if anyone's ever been audited or, any of these penalties that kick in because you didn't know, or you paid someone who didn't know, as Wesley Snipes paid someone who didn't know. And what did he have to pay?
Listen,
he had to pay
oh my God,
his time and his money.
Right. Whew. Girl, I will say I find great pleasure in helping entrepreneurs when it comes to the tax business side, right? So if people want to work with me or my team when it comes to taxes, I own a wealth management firm now called Opulence Financial Group. And what we do and what I really love to do is educate entrepreneurs in actual accounting, right? I don't need you to become an accountant, but I need you to be able to have, have a decent conversation with your accountant. You're literally providing, they have all of your financial information, and they're providing you reports every single month. Not even just your accountant, right? I call it financial, oh goodness, what is it called? Financial intelligence, right? So it's our financial intelligence program where, we just help you become more intelligent when you want to have conversations about your finances, whether it be with your accountant, your financial advisor, your investment advisor, your lawyer, right? All these people, you need to, number one, be, not feel, you need to feel like you're adequate enough to have those conversations. A lot of people think like, oh, I'm gonna just let them handle it because they're the professional, but then that leaves no room for you to learn. So I like to teach my clients how you have those impactful conversations. Because just like you said with Wesley Snipes, I mean, we've all watched Steve Harvey on Earn Your Leisure talk about his fight when it came to accounting to the IRS.
Right.
Steve Harvey, even not Steve Harvey, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry said that he had an audit from the IRS and they were just on his heels. Girl, they ended up owing him $600,000. And meanwhile, he's been paying his accountants and his
Right.
team all this money to fight the case with the IRS, but the IRS found out that they owed him $600,000. So that means that he was not having the proper conversation, right? Because if he was educated enough to understand what his craft allowed him to deduct, then he could say, "Are y'all making sure y'all doing that cost segregation study? Or y'all making, you know what I'm saying?"
No,
Like
he did not have the proper
you
tools,
could,
but he did not realize that. He didn't realize that
he didn't realize it. He had a team, but it wasn't the right team. It wasn't the team that was specialized in that industry,
And at the end of the day, it's
and
not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So
period.
$600,000 is not a little chunk of change.
Girl, that's a couple salaries he could have paid. 600,000. And girl, they ain't giving you no interest. Shit, if you owe them, you gonna have to pay interest, but they ain't gonna give you that interest back.
Right. Oh, we all know how the IRS has some double standards in how they want their money. Their money. But yeah, you need to be knowledgeable. So I think that is very interesting. That's not something every entrepreneur needs to go through. I know I need to.
So this is the thing. I had a class this week and I was just like, this is it. Like, this is the class that I need to teach and that I need to push. Was working with an entrepreneur and we were literally setting up her book. So I was like, you can pay me to manage your books every month. You don't know what's going on. Or you can pay me and I will teach you to manage your own books, right? And then that way you can at least have a foundation. And if you later on want to put it off on a team, at least you know how to be like, wait a minute, this don't look right. At least you know how to look at your books and understand what's going on, because these very rich people that we mentioned, they thought they were doing the right thing by paying the people. But at the end of the day, your tax liability only falls on you. It doesn't fall on your employees. It doesn't fall on your accountant.
Like if you watch American Greed, you'll realize it's very easy to rob some of these celebrities. Like there were very many stories where, you're entrusting people to pay your bills or to manage your finances, and you have no idea that they're just robbing you blind the whole time. So, if you're going to be
unfortunately, that is the sad truth. So working with an accountant can look for anywhere from like, them just doing your taxes, to them doing your taxes and tax planning, to them managing your books, to them paying all of your bills, right? There are some clients out there like busy lawyers, accountants, busy entrepreneurs. They own real estate. They own other businesses. They don't have the time to cut checks for property taxes twice a year or every quarter, right? So they need somebody to manage that for them. So, when it comes to this space as a profession, there's a lot of opportunity out there for people to get in, learn the business, implement some systems, and make some good money and make a good living. But more importantly, I think the opportunity is for Black entrepreneurs to learn at least the vernacular and the basics of accounting, so that when they get to their millions, they're not losing out by either overpaying or underpaying, and then, being at the arms of the IRS.
Yeah, I really love that there's those two sides. You could treat this as a 6-figure side hustle and really make a really good income. But if you are choosing to go in the direction of another 6-figure side hustle, we all have to know the language of money because we're all trying to make money. And what's the point of working hard and honing a craft and achieving it for the IRS to come steal it away or for some shady accountant to come steal it away? You need to know what you're looking at to know if someone is, like we said, they just might not be on your level. They might not be your financial advisor because they don't specialize in what you specialize in and you're paying more than you should. But more importantly, you need to know when you're being robbed because very smart and very successful people have given very nice lifestyles to a lot of people that they trusted. And they weren't verifying. So we all need to make sure that we have that level of education. So, when you have your next course or your next class, we all need to be students of that. That's something we all.
Oh, listen, let me tell you. So every month, I offer a free class every month. We actually have our class coming up on Wednesday. So once a month, typically on Wednesday, I do a free class where we dive into all this stuff. So you can head to moneymaven.club and register. And when we have our free class, you'll receive a text message and an email that invites you to the class. So it's totally free. That way, people can get to learn a little bit more about me and what we do. But yes, you can tap into the free class, moneymaven.club.
Game, so make sure you write that down or, go and register right now, moneymaven.club. You can't afford to miss this, and she's not charging. So that's amazing for all entrepreneurs. We all need to know this. Like, don't make another dollar until you understand this language of money. Because it just doesn't make sense to make it and lose it. You might as well have just.
She said, "Don't make another dollar." I love that. Don't make another dollar until you have learned this language, honey.
Absolutely. Because we need to be educated. We can't just go along and think everything will fall into place when we get more money. Like, what if they said more money, more problems? And that usually comes from lack of education.
That's literally what people think, though. People will literally say, "Oh, I'll do that. I don't need that right now." Well, you can't afford to not have this right now because you're overpaying in taxes, or you're underreporting income, or you're underreporting your deductions, right? So, like I tell people all the time, sometimes it don't make sense for you to hire me to work with me, but maybe maybe you can fit into my group coaching where we can work together with the other group of entrepreneurs and you can learn, right? Because here's the thing, if I can't save you at least the amount of money that I have to charge you for my time and my 15 years of experience, then it doesn't make sense for us to work together. So what that looks like is typically I'll work with a client. Let's say that they're used to paying like $25,000 a year in taxes, right? If I can't, let's just say a tax plan is going to cost you $5,000. If I can't save you at least $5,000 in taxes, right? So that means next year you're going to just pay $20 to the IRS. You can pay $5,000 to me, right? But that means that every single year going forward, you also save that $5,000. So you pay me $5,000 one time, and you get a $5,000 tax deduction from here on out. So I'm really at the short end of that stick because I'm giving you the infinite value up front. But that's what I mean when I say, like, if I can't save you at least the amount of money it's going to cost us to work together, then we need to figure out a different way, that I can help educate you to do this for yourself.
Right. So the question is not what does it cost? The question is, what does it cost you by not doing it? What does it cost you by not having a money maven on your team, looking over your shoulder and educating you? And, I think 5,000 is very reasonable, if you're saving.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have we can work together anywhere from $1,000 to $60,000. It just depends on the business. But like I said, typically the goal is to help you save money. If your fee to work with my company is $60,000 for the year, we are at least right. So I like to stay in a 40% ratio, right? So if I can save you $100,000 a year,
Right.
then my fee is going to be $40,000.
And is that $40,000
But if I'm telling you,
tax deductible? Because you're a
of course,
okay. That's
of course, every expense is tax deductible. But so it's a tax deductible expense, and you're saving 100,000. So you've got $1 million businesses out here that might owe $100,000 in taxes, right? If I can help you get, or they may owe a couple $100,000 in taxes. If I can help you go from paying $250 a year to $150 a year, does it make sense for you to pay me $40,000 to do it? Absolutely, because guess what? You're saving $100,000 this year, every single year going forward, right? So that's the opportunity for people that want to get in the business and make money, right? You can earn anywhere from, I tell my even if you're just starting, at least $500, but I don't do any taxes for under $1,000. But you can make anywhere from $1,000 to $60,000 on one client.
Yeah, that's some amazing math. That maths. So y'all need
the math is math.
All right, with that, we're gonna get into the Rainmaker round, and I'm excited for this.
Let's do it.
What book are you reading?
Oh, $100 Million Offers by Hormozi. Rereading that book. I've been in his Instagram. I'm like in a trance of Hormozi right now. It's just so good.
He's amazing. Yeah, I love that book. I do got to reread it.
Oh my gosh.
And I
don't know how you get that good.
Yeah, for being so young. But even one tip, and this isn't related to money, this is actually related to how we consume information he gives in the book. He says, read it while you listen to it. So whenever you
and guess what I do? Guess what I do? I read it while I'm listening. Listen, I'm the money girl. I never claimed to be the best reader. So I definitely listen, and honestly, I love it. So I used to listen to audiobooks, but there is a huge difference consuming the information, reading it, and listening to the audiobooks. Like that is a huge hack. It's a huge retention hack for me.
Yes. So I do love that book, everyone. $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. He gives so much game. He gives a lot of free resources.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's essentially a marketing book, that helps you create irresistible offers pretty much. Like I said, if I'm helping you save $100 a year, will you pay me $40,000? Yeah, right. You got to make it irresistible. And he teaches you how he did it time and time again. It's super dope.
Great. So if someone is wanting to become a 6 or 7 figure tax specialist, is there a book you could recommend for them to get started that you would point them in that direction?
A book? Let's see. I don't think there's a book, What I will tell you, if you want to become a tax professional, is in this day and age, you can get a mentor, right? So whether that means purchasing a book, whether that means going on YouTube University to get started, right? Wherever you are, but you can literally start a tax business for about $500. Like I said, it might cost you $50 to get registered with the IRS. You can get you some tax software where you pay as you go. So you can pay like $30 to file each tax return, or you can just buy it unlimited that it's going to cost you a couple $1,000. But you can literally start a tax business with a couple $100. I would definitely advise you to get a mentor, whether they're working with you directly or you're watching their information that they can provide for you.
Great. What is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote. Done is better than perfect.
Oh, wow.
I have waited on so many things, and I'm sure you have too. I know with your podcast you just launched. Congratulations, and thank you for having me on here. It's been a great time. But so often, we try to perfect things and we try to learn everything that we can learn. And the truth is that you're never going to know everything until you get into it. So that's the same thing like with starting the business. You just got to do it, right? Like you started this podcast, we had a off scenes conversation. You just realize all the pieces that comes along with that. So done is better than perfect. And give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and time to grow and learn. And don't be so hard on yourself. If you fail, and if you're not failing, you're not trying, you're not doing enough, right? Because not everything is going to work out. And I think so many people are scared to try things because number one, they don't want to be beginners, and number two, they don't want to fail. But if you're not failing, you're failing.
I love that. And I'm gonna let everyone in on a little secret. It's so funny. So I did just launch my podcast, and in every episode, I am doing some extra sauce for my Rainmakers Alliance. We're at about episode 14, and the funny thing is, the membership hasn't launched. That site is not done yet. So I have to just do it as if it's launched, but it's still not, because the podcast was ready before the membership. It's just how it works out. They both started at the same time. So every single week.
Done is better than perfect.
Done is better than perfect. And it will launch. You guys will get access to that at some point. But for the first 10, 15 episodes, people are like, well, where is this one? There's no link.
Listen, our mentor, Neo, shout out to King Nehemiah Davis. I'm sure y'all know and love him just as much as we do. He says, commit first and figure out the rest later. So what we doing, y'all? We running the play.
We're running the play. This is a podcast play. I will have a strong mentorship alliance community. But it's not done yet, but I'm still acting as if. I'm still gonna get these jewels.
You are walking in the fruition of.
Just everyone's watching and they're like, well, where is this link? That's why there's no link, because done is better than perfect. And I'm just gonna play it out as if it's.
And the link is coming, and she has the content. She's recording the content, but sometimes we got to give ourselves grace, because she could have stopped at episode 4 and was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get this mentorship done." And girl, I'm in the same place right now with my magazine. I've had to hire a new set of designers because my first designer girl just had an attitude and skated. So I had to hire a new set of designers, and I've got people that paid me money to sponsor and advertise and all these things, and I'm just. It gets very overwhelming sometimes, especially when you do commit first, because people support, and people want to support, especially when you're putting out great work. And, I just have to give myself grace and, let people know at the end of the day, we have to all give each other grace, right? Yeah. I don't know if your audience is mostly, millennials, Black millennials, like we are, Black and brown, but, white people have hundreds of years of systems in place that give them a head start that we don't have. Like, I'm literally the number one in my family. I am the start. I am the head and not the tail. So, you talking about systems. I'm trying to create systems for my 7-year-old and my 1-year-old to come behind me and continue the things that I'm working on now, while still being able to create, produce, and serve my clients. Yeah. So give yourself grace. Done is better than perfect.
Get everything together. Don't be out there on the gram talking smack about people, because we're all out here trying our best. And it might be you who one day needs that extra little breath to get yourself together. So
yeah. And honestly, the ones that talk the most, they're the ones that never get nothing started, never get nothing done. Don't let that be you. Yeah, y'all tap in today, Money Maven Club. Get your inspiration. Get your, get your inspiration and information on wealth building, baby.
Well, yeah, that leads into the next one. How can the audience get more info? I know you already dropped the link for your free class, but how can they follow you? How could they work with you? If someone
absolutely
doesn't want the free information, they're ready to just commit and get a mentor. How, where do they go to get mentored by you?
Yeah, so first of all, I will say you can find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram mostly, Money Maven Club. There are a lot of fake pages out there, so be careful. I think I have like 28,000 followers at this point. So Money Maven Club on Instagram. There's always going to be a link in my bio. In that link, you can set up a free call. That's a one-on-one where we get to talk about your business. I give you some strategy. And I see if there's a way that I can help you in your business, right? I'll give you my offers, or you can just tune into the free call, moneymaven.club. Come and network, come and meet some, other like-minded people. But also, I need y'all to subscribe to my podcast, Black Wealth Weekly. So y'all can follow us on Instagram as well. So I just launched a new podcast and magazine, y'all. I would love for this to be the next Black enterprise where, we are creating content to inspire the next generation of wealth builders, right? Like I said, we didn't have mentorship 15 years ago when I was first starting entrepreneurship, but my son, he has no excuse.
Right.
He has no excuse. I'm putting him around my mentors. I'm putting him around my friends, my colleagues, my peers, and you have no excuse. So I have a lot of my peers pulling up on me here in Atlanta. We put together some super dope content for you on how you can build wealth in your way for your family. Wealth looks different for everybody. So I have people talking about restaurants, real estate. I interviewed a guy who does notary, right? So like there's so many different industries that you can build wealth for yourself and your family. So y'all make sure y'all tap into blackwealthweekly.com because that's where we'll be sharing those stories, and you can follow us on Instagram as well.
Yeah, make sure you really tune in. Doing a podcast is such a commitment, but it is such a hack because you are getting an insight into people's lives that took them decades to build. You don't have to read the book. You just get all this game, and sometimes it will let you know, like, oh yeah, I do want to pursue this path. Or sometimes it might let you know this might be a little bit more work than I but yeah, we want to give support to content creators of color, so make sure that you lock in, like, subscribe, don't be a little shadow lurker, make sure you subscribe. It matters.
It matters, y'all. I think as of yesterday, I had 30 subscribers. We're a brand new baby channel, but when I tell you we're going to be the next big wealth building platform for Black entrepreneurs and high performing professionals,
I have no doubt.
Y'all just look for it. Black Wealth Weekly.
All right. With that, Money Maven, thank you so much for coming and sharing. If you're in the Rainmakers Alliance, you're going to get that extra sauce. So make sure you go onto the website. If not, make sure you join because it's definitely where it's going on. Thank you so much, Money Maven.
Time to make it rain, honey. Thanks so much, Queen. I appreciate you.